Hello, guys. Welcome back. So, for this summary, we're going to go over metabolic functions. Metabolic functions are all the chemical reactions necessary for life of either a cell or for a multicellular organism. The main processes are nutrition and digestion, transport, respiration, synthesis, regulation and coordination, and excretion. These all require ATP as the main driver of energy. But all cells need to do these processes in order to stay alive. And so, usually, these processes are going to be done by organelles within a cell, or they're going to be done by organ systems within a multicellular organism. So, we're going to start off with nutrition and digestion. Nutrition is the molecules that are needed for growth and repair, as well as energy production. Autotrophic organisms need these molecules in order to get basically make glucose. Heterotrophic organisms get it from eating, and so they eat other organisms and break down their nutrients. Digestion is using enzymes, which is a protein, in order to break down molecules in what's called a catabolic reaction. The main thing that you need to know here are the macromolecules or the organic molecules that are associated with the process of digestion. The macromolecules are really, really important molecules that are used for a lot of life structures in different ways. So the four macromolecules are considered organic because they have an oxygen and a carbon bond. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say organic. Oops, sorry. It means a carbon and a hydrogen bond. Okay, so they got carbon and hydrogen bonded into their element structure, and that is what makes them an organic molecule. A macromolecule is just a large organic molecule, macro being large. Okay, so first off, we're going to start with starches. Starches are carbohydrates, and they are probably the most important molecule as far as giving energy. That's the main purpose of a starch, is they give energy. The simple sugar is the monomer. You can think of starches primarily when we think of simple sugar. You can think of glucose, but there's also fructose and a whole galactose. Anything where you hear that ose at the back is usually going to be a starch molecule, or at least a sugar molecule. Okay. Proteins. We know that proteins are made for structures. Think of the cell itself, the cell membrane, the ribosome, enzymes, hormones, pretty much anything within your body is going to be used using proteins in order to actually be made. And these are made with the monomer of amino acids. These amino acids are put together by the ribosomes in the process of translation. Um, and then they build what's called a polypeptide chain, which can be considered just a protein chain. So proteins are used for structure. They're made during the process of translation, and they're really, really important because without them, we wouldn't be able to hold structure. They can also be used for energy, but they are a tertiary source of energy, meaning if you don't have any starch available, you don't have any fat, then your body will start to use protein. Third, we have lipids. Lipids are fats. The monomer is fatty acids or glycerol. Lipids can be used as either a long-term store of energy, so it won't use that energy right away. It'll kind of store it for later, or it can be used in some structures. So, for example, lipids can be used in the cell membrane, and it gives it its kind of ability to repel some materials, giving it that certain semi-permeable ability. So lipids are fats primarily used as a long-term store of energy for later use, but it can also be used in structures within the body. And then finally, we have nucleic acids, which monomer is the nucleotide. There are two nucleic acids within the body, and they are DNA and RNA. So nucleic acids are used to store genetic information. Okay, so predominantly it's going to be DNA and RNA. That's pretty much the only two nucleic acids you need to remember. So starch, energy, protein, structure, lipids, long-term energy, and nucleic acids storing information. When we talk about transport, that is materials distributed throughout an organism. Within a cell, this transport is going to happen from the cell membrane. Within an organism that is multicellular, it's going to happen via blood. So blood cells are usually going to handle this job. This is a transport of nutrients, moving waste from respiration, hormones, oxygen, and antibodies. That, as you can very clearly see, those are things that blood handles very easily. Respiration is the process of creating ATP energy and moving the materials needed to make that energy back and forth to and from cells. And so this respiration process requires glucose and oxygen in order to work. And so it's obvious the respiratory system is responsible for moving and bringing in the resources to a multicellular organism. And of course, the cell membrane is the one that handles it for a single cell organism, as well as the mitochondria and the chloroplast, since the chloroplast creates creates energy from sunlight for a plant. So we're gonna come down here if we can, and we're gonna make an attachment. And so for this one, it's gonna be the chloroplast. Okay. Anaerobic respiration produces less ATP and does not occur in the mitochondria. Remember, that happens in cytoplasm. Synthesis is an anabolic meaning to build. And these reactions take smaller molecules and they make a new one that's much bigger. An example of this is translation, where amino acids are built into protein or polypeptide chains. Now, synthesis and anabolic and catabolic reactions, remember, they do require enzymes, as that is the purpose of an enzyme, either to cut, to break down, to destroy, or to build up and construct new molecules. So, regulation and coordination. This is how cells communicate with each other and also how the body communicates with itself. These are mainly going to be done using hormones and nerves. So hormones are chemical messages, again made of protein, that must bind to receptor sites on the cell membrane so the cell can read the message and then do the corresponding action. Usually nerves are going to be for quicker actions, say like a reflex or a thought. Hormones are going to be long-term actions, like converting your puberty body from a prepubescent child to a teenager. So that is a long-term effect. Those are going to be done by hormones. Short-term effects generally done by nerves. Quick signal that's electrical that goes straight to the area that needs to do the action. And then excretion, which is the removal of any materials that need to be removed. This is going to be a dual active thing within cells. Usually it's going to be diffusion at the cell membrane. Membrane handles a lot within the cell, as you can tell. But it can also be done by the organ structure of the excretory system, which is the sweat glands and your what is it called? Your poopy area. Anyway, so pooping, peeing, breathing out CO2, all of these are considered excretion. So it's actually a bunch of different systems within a multicellular organism. But the excretory system is what is going to handle all of that. Anyway, I hope if you have any questions, just send me an email or you can ask me in class. But that's all the summary you need for metabolic function. Remember, the most important piece that you'll need for this is going to be this area here. If you can remember this, you'll be pretty set to go. Secondary needs would be this respiration piece. Those two are going to be very big within the test. So make sure you get those down. All right, that's all.